what is a really big part of it that we don't talk so much about is actually how we enable the staff, our employees, to do their job efficiently so that they can actually, talk to the customers, be there for the guests, be out there, don't look into a screen, but look into their eyes and enhance their experience by being physically available.
All right, we're here for an episode of Hospitable Podcast, and we are actually sitting in Oslo, Norway, at the beautiful Strawberry headquarters. So really excited about this episode. And Kari Anna, really, one, first, thanks for the hospitality. And two, how are you doing today?
Hello, I'm good, thanks. It's a beautiful day. It's been a beautiful weekend. I was at my best friend's wedding. So, doing very good.
Always have fun at weddings, right?
Yeah, it was good fun.
Was it here local or?
Yes, it was local.
Okay, awesome. I always love a good destination wedding sometimes. My youngest brother had a destination wedding in Cabo. That was fun. Cabo, beautiful in January, so in the middle of winter.
Right.
Perfect. Yeah. So if you haven't guessed, my guest today is Kari Anna Fiskvik.
Yes.
Is that right?
It's almost right.
Almost right.
Enough.
I was practicing that on the whole flight over here from New York. We're excited for today's episode, and Hospitable is a podcast focused on exploring the latest trends, technologies, and best practices that are shaping the hospitality industry and the customer experience. We do this by hosting engaging conversations with tech visionaries, architects, designers, restaurateurs, and industry experts. Today with Kari Anna, she is an accomplished technology executive with over 20 years experience and is currently the vice president of technology at Strawberry, which was formerly Nordic Choice Hotels, a leading hotel chain in the Nordic region of Europe. And we're staying at the Hub, which is absolutely beautiful.
Yes, it's lovely.
It is. And this is my first time in Oslo, so waking up this morning, walk around city center was quite beautiful. So really excited about that. So Kari, you're passionate about leveraging technology to make a positive impact in people's lives. You bring a unique perspective to your role, and you're committed to innovating effective technology solutions that enhance the customer experience, which is something that I'm really passionate about and excited to talk about today. And you've been instrumental in rolling out a number of technology projects. And I really love that you had some content out about mastering, I think it was a black belt in cyber attacks.
Not really cyber attacks. I said crisis management.
Crisis management, that's right. Black belt in crisis management.
Yeah.
And where did that come from? What big crisis was it that led to you getting your...
Right. There's been a few, actually. So where to start? I think the latest one that we had was a cyber attack that happened about a year and a half ago. I don't really know how to describe it. It's sort of an out of this world experience when somebody shuts your entire company down and you know that everything that you and your team do are sort of make it or break it for the business. So we did that for a couple of weeks last year. Actually, an amazing experience after all, because what we managed to do is that we didn't close the hotels not for an hour. The hotels out there, they were amazing. They just kept the door open. We tried to give them manual routines for a couple of days, so the operation department helped with that, while the tech department was looking into how we could fix the problem. And within 48 hours, we had actually converted our first computers over from the existing OS they had to Chrome OS from Google. And then we did 2,000 more computers, so we converted them to new OS within another 48 hours. So basically, then the hotels could work again and access all their systems. Then we had to do a lot of cleanup, obviously, for a couple of months more, but we did that. And also when I started my job here, 1st of March 2020, that was a bit of a crisis.
Very much so, a bit of a crisis.
I think it was within 5 days. I had to stop all projects. Half of the people that we had go, people that I've never met before. So that was a horrible experience and very hard, as you didn't really know the organization yet. I didn't really know what was important, what was not important to do, but you had to sort of, just learn very quickly. So we've done some of that. Personal level also, I've dealt with some of my closest relatives being really ill. So you learn to get through that as well. And I guess in some ways it's become, I usually go in when I have a new job or something, I go in and I do cleanups. I fix things. That's what I do.
So they should just call you the fixer.
Oh, luckily they don't. But yeah, basically, if something's not working, then I step up. So that's why I joke about having a black belt in crisis management, because there's been a lot of them.
I absolutely love that, and it's really cool that you share that. And I think it's really important to understand too the blend of our personal and our professional lives. And you're a top woman in tech. You've done a lot of these different things. How do you balance that blend of professional? Because I know you also are a mother to two children, and I know one of them, if I'm not mistaken, is an actress.
Yes, she is.
Just did a big movie for her first big kind of movie. So tell me, how do you balance your personal and professional lives?
First of all, and it's not that I recommended this, but I am actually divorced. So and I'm saying that because for me that has been part of how I balance it, is that I have the kids one week, or not kids anymore, they're 19, and then the other week I work a lot. So I think if you're divorced or whatever you are, but you need to find somewhere where you focus on this or you focus on that. You can't be everywhere at the same time all the time. That's a bit of a struggle. Also, I'm quite lucky to have a very good ex-husband, so we help each other out. He's been very supportive of me in my career as well. He's still I still discuss things with him. And then I have a lot of energy, so I think for me it's not really a struggle to be online a lot of the time, because I get energy from it, and then I do really sort of sometimes 6 weeks just go away and be unavailable.
Yeah.
So I think it's a mix of finding out where you get your energy from, and then focusing on that, and I think my job is fun. I love my work. I love my colleagues, my team.
Yeah.
So then giving it a lot is not that hard. And my kids are luckily quite self-sufficient.
Yeah.
They didn't need, though one of them was really ill for a while, they haven't, needed me to sit down and do homework with them for hours and hours. So I could sit with them and they could work and I would work.
Yeah.
So you sort of mix it in.
Yeah.
I think.
Your kids aren't twins, are they?
Yes, they are.
Are they really?
Yeah.
So I'm a twin.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I have a twin brother. We're actually fraternal, but looks just like me. I was a child of divorced parents, but I was lucky. Similar to what you were saying, my parents both were great friends, better friends than a married couple, which was super helpful, right? I know that having that support system in place makes a big difference, and I love how you talked about knowing where you get your energy from. I talk a lot in my previous life about there's two different types of people. There's people whose work is their passion, and there's people who work for their passions outside of work. And I think it's really important for you to understand where that is. And it's okay to be in either camp, but when you know that you are passionate about what you do, that makes a big difference in how you balance. And I love that you share that, because I think everyone's balance, there's a lot of content out there about work-life balance and this and that. It's what works best for you and the situation you're in and how you make it work, because you're on your own journey. I love that you share that.
No, I think it's really important, and I totally support what's sort of trending on LinkedIn now, that being burnt out is not cool. I love that we're talking about that, because it really working until you die of exhaustion is not where we want to be.
Yeah.
But for me, I get a lot of energy from the work. I like being around people. I like solving problems. I get energy from the feeling of that you sort of, you've helped contribute to something that made a difference to something.
Yeah.
So for me, that is part of what I want to do in life. And that's why I'm saying I get a lot of energy from work as well. I must admit, in May, we have a lot of days off in Norway. So the summer feeling is still, starting to kick in. I'm off on my holidays in about 2 weeks. So at the moment, it's a bit of a struggle to keep up because vacation mode is starting to kick in.
And I love that you share that, because that's authentic, right? And it's important to understand that, because then you know how to balance your days and bring that energy in. So I love that. So how did you end up here at Strawberry, formerly Nordic Choice? 3 years ago, you started in March, and then we had obviously the global pandemic. So talk to me, how did you come to here and get here? What was your journey?
My journey is it's a bit of I never knew that I wanted to work in tech. That was not my passion. What I was going to do was work in arts. And you mentioned my daughter being an actress, and that's what I thought I was going to do as well. So that's what I studied. That's where all my friends were. That was my passion. And then, I wanted to take some time out of school and just work, earn some money, live a little before I studied even further. And in that year, I ended up figuring out that I was good at solving problems, and that I actually had a quite good at technology understanding and could use that to solve problems. So instead of going into study that I was supposed to do, I was accepted into school. I was going to start there the year after. I got offered a job in London. And, being 20, being offered like a cool job in London, I told the school I would never come. I moved to London. And I just, I love that. And I haven't gone back to school since, or I have actually. I've studied outside of work. And obviously I had to learn a lot of the tech stuff because I didn't know it by heart. But most of what I've done is sort of self-taught, through experience. Mm-hmm. So when I moved back to Norway, I've just worked my way through different areas. The music industry is where I started. Then I did like the book industry. Then I did fashion for 12 years, and now it's hospitality. But I think what all of these sort of, business areas has in common is that they're very lively areas. They're about people. They're about feelings, emotions, experiences. So I don't think I would be very good at this job in a company that, didn't actually work with people and experience in that way. That would be more sort of, back office that serve the product that is useful, but not that emotional. So I think that's been important for me. I've done a lot of logistics as well, e-commerce, tech. I usually I've worked both in the business side and the tech side, which I think is actually really, really important to having tried both, because until you've sat on the business side, you don't really know how frustrating it is sometimes when you try to talk to the tech department and they'll be like, oh, but you can't do that, and we're going to do this tomorrow and not today. Yeah. So I think it's really important to test the business side and feel that sense of urgency that they have to be able to, prioritize correctly for the tech department as well. So I've done a lot of all of that, moving around. I loved working in fashion as well. That was really fun. And it was fun working in logistics because, in e-commerce and retail, logistics is really the heart of what you're actually doing. Obviously, the product is important, the customer experience, the shops. But if you don't get the logistics right, you don't have anything to sell. There's nothing there. And if you screw up logistics with e-commerce, no one's going to come back to your shop. So I've been very fortunate. I've been allowed to try a lot of different things. Yeah. I've been welcomed into a lot of different environments so that I could figure out how to do things. I've been given a lot of trusts. Obviously, I've also fought very hard for it because you have to learn the politics if you want to get anywhere. You have to understand the organization, what triggers them, who makes the decisions, who are the people that are really important to talk to get things done. And this is also something I feel that I've been fortunate about because I'm able to talk to a lot of, the board and the people up there, but I also have like great colleagues that are, programmers, or they're doing totally different stuff. And to be able to, move around in the organization like that, it's really, it's a giving. It's a, what do you call that? It's like a gift because you get to know so many different people and so many different things. And as I said, I am a person that gets a lot of energy from fast-moving environments and people. So to me, that is, it makes sure that I don't get bored. Yeah,
I love that. I'm very similar. I feed off of other energy. I love energy, right? And I radiate a lot, but I also need a lot to fill up the tank. That's why I love living in New York, right? You walk outside, you take the subway in, there's just so much palpable energy. And I think that just being in this office here today, it's a Monday morning. I know they probably can't hear it, but this office is buzzing. There's so much going on. There's activity everywhere. It's absolutely gorgeous in here. And it's hard not to feel that pulse of energy with this office, the team and the people here. I think you need that. And that's really important to be a part of. But also, if you take that energy in an environment, to be able to give that energy back to the teams,
I mean, this is obviously a very, very special office. It used to be like, this old shipping mogul that lived here, and there was the pool down in the basement, and then there's this beautiful garden outside that we can sit and have lunch in. Most of the people that work in our company, I mean, for us, being at home in the pandemic was really, really hard because we're such people. But this office, I mean, our owner, he has a saying like, I love Mondays. I don't know if you've seen any of what he's doing, but because a lot of it is in Norwegian, but he's like, Monday's the best day of the week. And he's very energetic. And also our CEO is very, they're people. They come from the hospitality. They like people around. They like buzz. So I think that's really, set the standard for a whole company. We throw great parties. We hang around with each other. We like to try new things, even though they might fail. And so to walk into this office on a Monday morning and get that energy from your colleagues, from the environment, I feel so blessed to be able to be here. And I think a lot of what you're seeing as well is that people that leave the company, they come back very often. I mean, it is a bit chaotic. We're not like process people. But then again, running a hotel is a very agile business.
Yeah.
I think it's one of the most agile businesses that you have, because you never really know what kind of clients that are coming in, what happens. They do deal with a lot of, really dark stuff as well. There's a lot of suicide in hotels.
Yeah.
There's violence. There's drug and alcohol abuse. There are people renting those rooms to sell sex. And you have to deal with that. At the same time, you have all these business conferences.
Yeah.
And you have all these different people that come in and out. And someone are there for leisure. Someone is like, really trying to land a big deal. So you have to rethink what you do every day and adapt to your environment. And the whole company is really built like that. Like, okay, we will adapt.
Yeah.
So like the energy in this room is great.
Yeah, I felt it from the minute I walked in, and absolutely loved it. And you mentioned it. This company is a bunch of people, and I the hospitality industry is something special. It's why I joined OmniBoost and joined the hospitality industry. And you've met Case and you feel his energy. It's so big, right? I think that there's something to that. And you talk about this customer experience, right? That depending on you don't know when somebody's walking in if they're a millionaire or they're, this is their big weekend away, and you have to cater to that. So what role does technology play in catering to the customer experience day in and day out across Strawberry hotels?
Right. It's a good question. I think there's the obvious part that everyone is talking about and everyone can see, which is basically all the self-service things that came with the digitalization of bookings online. You can check in online. You can get more and more information, do your stuff on your mobile, which is, both good for the customer experience, but also very efficient for us.
Yeah.
So there's that part of it. But then I think what is a really big part of it that we don't talk so much about is actually how we enable the staff, our employees, to do their job efficiently so that they can actually, talk to the customers, be there for the guests, be out there, don't look into a screen, but look into their eyes and enhance their experience by being physically available. So I think that is equally important and sometimes a bit more tricky to get right, because there's so many things they're given to do, and there's so many systems that have to talk to each other and connect each other and get that data flowing and give that data and information to our employees so they can cater for our guests. That is, I think that's the tricky part, and that's what gives me the most energy, because it's the hardest part to get right. And it's also, I think it's really important that when you have all this technology, to be able to filter out what you should not use. Because it's so, I mean, I never open any LinkedIn messages because there's just like, so many people that want to sell you something. And a lot of those products are really good. But if you try everything, you can't focus.
Yeah.
And also, like they're all saying, but you can give like your receptionist 30 or 40 data points about every guest that checks in. But, no one is going to be able to use all of that information. Yeah. So with all this data flowing that you want and you want to personalize and you want to get it right, it's also the trick of taking things away so that you can really focus on what matters. And what I like about that is that that's not just tech, that's business. And you have to get tech right, you have to understand both parts of it. Yeah. Not just the code, because then you risk that you spend a lot of time on things that is not giving business value. So I think that part is really important. It's really cool now to look into, everything that has to do with AI and ChatGPT, and everyone is talking about it, but how we can actually, reduce work for our employers and not just, write robotics answers to our guests, but also get the whole company flowing around being more efficient, getting the data right. So I think that is really cool. And what I think is really, really cool as well is that, when tech first came, everyone was like, oh, now you don't print because you'll kill the forest. And luckily, we moved on from that to actually start talking about that we're one of the largest consumers of commercial energy, the tech industry, in the world. So, we're not the great people that save the forest. Yeah. We're using a lot of energy. And producing a computer is really not very environmentally friendly. Yeah. Likewise, all the plasma screens, and they're horrible for the environment. Yeah. So I think to actually make our guests aware of their CO2 footprint in tech without, it's not that we want to come into our hotels and like you're a bad person because you watch TV. That's not totally not what I'm saying. But to be able to make good choices, use technology that is good on the planet, and then maybe we can also, make our guests more aware of how they can make good choices. Because, the craziness that the IT industry has created with, shifting your devices every second month or every second year, it's insane. Yeah. We don't need that. We can have perfectly good experiences in life without getting a new device every day. That's just people, want to make money that are telling us that we need that. So I think that part of the customer experience as well of making conscious choices is really important.
Absolutely.
And then there's some fun stuff, you can do gaming, you can do a lot of stuff with technology that is super, super cool.
Yeah. But I think that's also the beauty of technology is that there's a lot of option and a lot of cool things that you can do, but it also, how do you leverage it? I think I want to go back to this point you made about how do we remove certain data? Or, I always joke about tech overflow, right? Overwhelming of tech, too many tools, too many processes, too many things. And while it's great, there's tech for everything. What is you actually need to drive the business or the process or the product that you want? And I think that's really important to be able to have that understanding of spacing that out and pulling back. Because it's really easy to just want to jump into everything. And to the point last night, I'll give you an example. When I want to commend, I thought that the person who did the work on the front desk at the hub last night was amazing. So we got in, it was midnight, just after midnight when we got in. So we're checking in.
Have you slept at all?
Only about 3 hours.
Okay,
so
right.
I got an hour and a half on the overnight. So I took the overnight flight Saturday, landed in Brussels, met the guys, and then got up here last night. And it was probably 3 o'clock before I went to bed. And then, sun comes up really early here. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, it doesn't really go down.
I know. That's what I was surprised at. And so I actually, what I do when I travel, especially to Europe, I leave the windows open so that I get my body on its natural circadian rhythm with the sun. Didn't realize the sun comes up at 4 a.m. here. So that was a fun thing getting up. But no, I feed off this energy of travel, right? But we get in last night and, we booked through a third-party booking service.
What? That's not allowed.
Case, don't kill me if you get mad at that. So we check in, and there's only 4 of the rooms. There's 5 of us, and we were all kind of like, what's going on? And the reason why he couldn't find it was because somebody had accidentally checked the room in earlier in the day.
Someone of you, or
no, somebody from
somebody else?
Yeah, somebody
Oh,
from
right.
them. Yeah, so
Okay,
he
that's
did a
weird.
great job, and we're like, do we need to get a manager? He's like, no, we are enabled. We are our own managers. And he's like, give me a second, let me figure this out. He's like, we're fully booked. Let me look.
Mm.
And he did a great job of kind of managing our anxiety of coming in after midnight and not having a room, to taking a step back, solving the problem. And, then they went and checked and made sure no one was in the room so that we didn't walk in on anybody sleeping. And it was just, somebody had accidentally checked the room in earlier. Whatever reason happened, it happened, made it right really quickly. And, having that human element to the digital experience, I think made a great touch. And I think really, to me, was part of that being hospitable, right? And everyone could have gotten angry. It could have been, tired, whatever. But there was just this, we're humans and we're interacting. And I think that to the nice fellow that worked at the front desk last night, he did a great job of just really handling that. And I thought it was really cool. And it's such a great example of that balance you were talking about, right? Of enabling frontline workers to own their process.
Yeah.
So my next question, because the third-party booking, is how has the rise of third-party booking systems and the rise of private residencies like Airbnb and Verbos, how has that really kind of affected the hospitality industry, or does it affect what you all do and the technology that you deploy to 200 plus locations?
Yeah, it definitely does. But I think I'm going to ask you a question, but I think also, to be fair, all kinds of technology used in any company affects what we do, because what it does is it changes the mindset of people and what they're used to. So, I mean, even they're actually been really good with digitalizing how we do our taxes in Norway. And that also raises my expectations to what will meet me in a booking site, another place, because you think, well, they can do it, why can't you?
Yeah.
So I think third-party bookings, it was definitely a shock for the industry when they came, because the hotels hadn't really thought about that, themselves across the large massive hotels of the world. But I think they're great. We're partners. We're definitely also competitors, but we're partners. And they make sure that you're on your toes, because you have to keep up. So it's affected the booking experience a lot, how we do digital booking, obviously, and how we use data, pictures, content. It's a lot of that, things that we didn't really work with like 20 years ago. That is now one of the core business areas. For Airbnb, I don't think it's affected us that much. I mean, I think they've done, a really good job. It's really fun to watch them, and their sort of, booking experience and content is really good as well. But, to book an apartment or to live in a hotel, it's kind of two different things. We also do apartments, so we're not that big. We have a lot more hotels than apartments. So it's a complementary thing, I think. But it hasn't affected us in the same way as the third-party bookings partners have.
Yeah. And that's interesting. And I like to ask that question, because I think, as we continue to develop more technology and everything, and I think and this leads to the next question, I think about innovation, right? I think that we use that word a lot, but really everything is layering on top of it, and it's one process faster, one thing better. And there's not a lot of true innovation in tech sometimes. I think there's a lot of derivative, 1% better, 1% better, 1% better. And you talk about how you're very passionate about building technology that makes a difference. What does that mean to you? And what is Strawberry doing to really build technology to make a difference across your 200 plus hotels and customer experience and also the internal experience here?
Right. Firstly, we're actually, we win a lot of innovation prizes, and I'm really proud of that. And I think that's really because the company dares to do new stuff. Having said that, I also totally agree with you that, a lot of what we call innovation today is not really innovation. It's just naturally building on processes that are there. And what I totally hate are companies that, that isolate one part of their company and say, you guys do innovation. Because true innovation, I think, comes from not sitting in a room thinking about new cool stuff. It comes from recognizing that there's a need for something, and then you solve that problem, hopefully in a new and creative way. And that would be innovation. And sometimes you innovate like crazy. Most of the time we don't, but it's still improvement and it's good. So I think what we do basically is, at this moment, we're doing one of the, I think, largest digitalization programs in hospitality in Europe, at least, because we're doing around 14 different projects in parallel. So we're changing the entire system stack out of the hotels. Everything that they're doing, from their booking systems to their conference systems, restaurant systems, spa systems, data warehouse systems, accounting systems, payment solutions. The web is being upgraded. The app is being changed. Everything is being changed at the same time. So it's super, super, super hard because you don't really have a base. You have to figure out how will everything be connected when everything is different. And this is obviously where Omnibus is helping us with integrations and data points between the systems. So when we're doing that, at least the way I like to work is like you got to go in and figure out what is the really important stuff, what will make the most impact, instead of, taking that call from that seller that has a little app over there that is really cool, that people are like, oh, that's new, it's cool, it's bling, it's so fancy. We definitely try new stuff as well, and we have a department that are only working with, testing new stuff. But for the most of us, I think it's about figuring out what are the business needs. And when we built our 2030 strategy that we actually did during the pandemic, because we wanted to make sure that we didn't just coming out of the pandemic, but that we actually thought, we're thinking about where will we be in 10 years.
Yeah.
I think what we said for the tech thing is that, okay, everything is so uncertain. We don't really know what technology will be available in 10 years or what the company will want to do. So what we need to focus on is just, build flexibility, stability, so that we're open to new stuff, so that when they happen, we can move fast. So that's sort of been the main thing that we've been working on now, to getting all the various systems up to a standard where we can be very fast and innovate on top of that and use new technology on top of that. So we really can, do a lot of the AI stuff that is actually going to get us more efficient or enhance the customer experience by understanding them better and automating things that are, I like to say that we should automate everything that is boring.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't automate what is fun. Like you're talking about the fact that if you came in last night and there was just, a computer and a robot and you didn't find that room, and there's this chatbot that, okay, press here. What is the problem? I will take you through this. You don't want to automate what people are to each other. Yeah. You want to automate the boring stuff, the manual stuff, the repetitive stuff. So that's really what we're trying to achieve now. And a lot of the times, people come in and talk to me they come from startups or pure, digital native companies, and it's hard to compare. And when they're saying like, but we can do this and that, it's like, well, great for you. But the fact is that we're not an old company. Yeah. We haven't even been around 35 years, but you still have all that legacy. You have all those, and it's not only in the systems, it's very much in the processes, the mindset, how you think. So the tricky part about, leveraging new technology isn't really that the technology isn't there, because it is. And even getting a budget, for shifting the technology, we can do that. But the real shift lies in, finding a pace and the right set of technology that people can move along with.
Yeah.
And that they, you don't want to drown them in new technology. And what you said, technology overflow, it's just frustrating. There's too much. You don't know what to do. And we have, 18,000 employees at the moment, and we're thinking that we're going to have another 200 hotels by 2030. So making the digital shift, making use of technology in a way that doesn't drown your people in new processes and change every day. Yeah. I think that is the hard part. And again, we're lucky in this company because we like change and we're service-minded, and everyone's saying yes to everything all the time when you tell them to try something new. But it's still, I mean, it's that that shift, that is the tricky part to get right, not to test blockchain.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the fine line, right? Is you gotta test and fail a little bit, right? You gotta find things that don't work for you, what technologies do and don't. I think that's a really tricky thing, because I think in today's day and age, with a lot of digital native companies, as you mentioned, there's an inherent need to be perfect out the gate.
Yeah, definitely.
I think that's something new in our, like when you look at millennials and Gen Z, and because there's so much data at our fingertips, because all the tools that we have and being able to pick up our mobile and Google anything, YouTube anything, and solve a problem, if we don't get it right on the first try, you know, that's scary for us if we fail. And I think that in order to experience joy, you have to go through loss. In order to experience success, you have to fail. And I think those are things that sometimes we forget, especially in this world of technology and digitalization. That's really important for us to remember. And I love that. Sounds like Strawberry is not afraid to fail. Like that's kind of your, black belt in crisis management. It's okay if we fail, but we grow.
We definitely do. Though it's not always a given. But I think this company is better at this than a lot of other companies.
Yeah,
there's more room for it. And I totally agree with you. The fact that it's like the new stupid is not being able to understand and utilize the data that is at your hand. And while the fact is that it's almost impossible for people to do this. This is why we have computers to analyze all this data, because it's hard. There's too much information. We can't handle it. And the fact is also, most of it you don't really need. You don't need all that data to be happy.
Yeah.
So I love trying to figure out where do we pull the line, and when do we just become robots analyzing data instead of people that have fun, have joy, and hang out with each other, which I think that is really, obviously, like my company, like every other company, even though we have our vision is people, planet, profits, we do want to make money. I mean, we're here to make money as well. Yeah. We wouldn't survive if we didn't make money. But we shouldn't strive so hard to be perfect and to get everything right and be better at everything all the time. I think what we should strive for is find the right level of, like we talked about earlier, life balance, technology, non-technology balance. What do we need to live good lives? That should be the end goal, to make a positive difference in other people's lives, not to be perfect and know everything, because that's not what makes you happy. And who wants to be perfect if you're not happy? It doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't.
It's the wrong end goal to be perfect.
It is, and I love that. And I think it's really important to experience joy. And I look at joy. I had an amazing person on a podcast that I used to run who told me that joy isn't necessarily happiness. It's joy is anything that brings you passion, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, and I really love that. And I think it's really important for us to remember that at times. And we have to experience joy in life. Like, what is life without joy? What is life without purpose and passion? So, I think
yesterday
really
I spent all of the day, obviously I was a bit tired after my best friend's wedding, but I have a little jacuzzi in my garden, and it's 25 degrees. It's a lovely day. So me and the kids, we got up in the morning. We actually ordered breakfast because we were so lazy that day. It doesn't happen a lot, but it did. And then I can't really call her my daughter-in-law because she's 19, but she's been dating my son for 3 years, so I know her very well. So we just looked at each other and said, we agreed that we're not doing anything today. So we got floating toys and we put them in the jacuzzi, and we just put ourselves in there and we lay there for 6 hours doing absolutely nothing. And it was quite fun because at one point we just looked at each other, and at the same time we said, this is one of the best days of my life. And obviously you can't lay in a pool every day, but that was joy. That was, we didn't achieve anything. We didn't do anything. We just existed. We talked, we laughed, we had fun. And those days are so important as well. And not just, what we can do with technology, but those days that you just exist with your friends and you're alive, and that's enough.
I love that. There's an Italian saying, "La dolce fa niente," the sweetness of doing nothing.
Yeah.
Which is exactly, I love that. And I think that it's important for us to slow down and take those moments, because those moments are the moments we need to recharge and prepare and just move forward. Sometimes we need that recharge moment. So as I know we're getting close to time, and you've got a lot going on today. So I know we could probably talk for hours, but I know that diversity, inclusion, and women in tech is very important for you. And, having been awarded the Women in Tech Award, how do we move forward? How do we foster innovation in bringing more women into tech and doing that from a company level? And how are you and your team here really, taking that mission on? You talk about people, planet, profit, right? How is that people aspect going?
Well, the whole company has a diversity policy, so that's not just us in tech. I mean, we really strive hard to have a mix of people working from different nationalities, genders, everything. And we do have a lot of female leaders out of the hotels from different nationalities as well. So they work very hard with it as a company. In the tech department specifically, it is a bit tricky because there are more men than women out there. So, if we are going to be 50-50, we're stealing them from someone else.
Yeah.
But we still try really hard, I think. And we also try very hard in my department. We have a mix of engineers and non-technicians that work with tech. So that's one of the things that we do as well. And that I think that actually creates a lot of not innovation, but new ideas, because they come from people with mixed backgrounds that see things differently. And a lot of the best ideas sometimes don't come from the technicians, though they might find out how to solve them. It's the non-technicians that are, brave enough to think of something that they didn't know that it wasn't possible. So they just suggested it. So I think it is, working with diversity and having different personalities in your department is not just something that we're saying. We think it actually creates a lot of value. It makes us better. As for the female part, I think what we need to do in general to get more women into tech is to, stop talking about tech as something very techy, and a lot of the men, they come from the gaming industry, and though there's women in gaming as well, I know, but it's very, nerdy and techy how we talk about it still. But I feel a lot of the females that I know in IT, the reason they started working with it wasn't because they thought tech was so cool. It was because they wanted to solve a problem. So if you talk about, what kind of competence do we need to solve water problems in the world or food problems, and like big, important questions for the world or for companies, then you get, you focus on what you want to achieve, and then you use technology to solve that. So I think that is maybe one of the ways that you can actually open up the industry more to women, is by talking about the end goal instead of just talking about the technology in itself. And then there's obviously different personalities and people like different things. Apart from that, obviously the whole company works very well with the feeling of being included, welcomed, that it's not a threatening environment. And that is important as well, because we know a lot of tech companies, and I have vendors even that I work with, and they're great people, but I would never want to work there because everyone else is a man. And it's just a culture, the feeling of what do you talk about over lunch is, I don't feel like I would be bored. I mean, I wouldn't want to work there because I would feel like, okay, but I don't fit in.
Yeah.
Not that it bothers me that I don't fit in, as I don't feel like I'm less or anything.
Yeah.
It's just boring. It doesn't interest me if we can't have a broader environment. And I think you're losing a lot of good heads if you build a culture that is not open for different things, but it narrows it down to just one area.
Yeah. I worked in hiring and as a recruiter for
you did,
over 10 years. Yeah, I started actually my career in software development recruiting. And that's how I actually can speak any sort of tech language. Having been a recruiter and worked with so many companies over the years, everyone talks about it, but very few do. And I love how you talk about the impact that has when you bring true diversity into a team, because that's where the creativeness happens, right? If everyone's the same or everything's the same and everyone gets along and goes along with things, there's no one to challenge. And you need to challenge in a good way thoughts, ideas, processes. That's where innovation comes from. We talked about innovation for a long time, and innovation comes out of challenge, right? And I really love that. And it's really cool to see. And just by being here in this office and seeing it and feeling it, it's a really cool thing. And, I commend you for continuing to put that as a forefront, and the way you step up and lead and talk about it is one of the cool things. As I was reading some of the prep material going into today. Mm-hmm. So, I really appreciate the hospitality. This podcast is hospitable. It's all about, and we created this podcast with the idea of highlighting all things about it from every angle. And we're really excited, and I couldn't ask for a more hospitable environment. So I really just want to thank you for hosting us, for being here, for taking all this time. Where can the listeners find you? How can they get in touch, follow your journey, and continue to see what Strawberry is doing and the cool innovation and growth that Strawberry has planned?
Oh, right. Yeah, no, definitely LinkedIn and our websites, strawberry.no.sa. Those sites, you can see a lot of what we're doing with the content, the hotels, which is basically, to me, it's that is the product. I don't really, I don't blog a lot myself. I can't find time for that because I'm busy trying to solve problems for those who are good at blogging. But LinkedIn is a good place, and our websites is a good place. Actually, I wanted to add one more thing about, bringing more women into tech. And I think what is really important is that you have to hire female leaders and let them be female, because that's how you show the others that this is possible, mm-hmm. that there's something to aspire to. And if you only have male leaders, it's not all the time, you're going to think it's not for me, it's not possible for me to get there, and then you won't try.
Yeah.
But that was on the side. Now you can follow us on LinkedIn, you can follow us on our websites. Come stay in our hotels. I think that's the best, then you get the real experience. We have a lot of great hotels.
That is true. So what I'll do is I'll go ahead and put your LinkedIn and the company website in the show notes so that you can easily find Kari Anna. You can find Strawberry, check out their list of hotels, come check it out. And I really love what you said there at the end. The need to put women in leadership and let them be female. I think that's really strong and really powerful, and impossible is nothing, right? So I think there's such a world of possibilities, and hopefully we can see continued growth and just innovation out of not only the technology side of the world, but us as humans. I think right now we need that more than ever, bringing that human element and innovating as humans. So I just appreciate you for being here. Thank you so much for having us, and I cannot wait to have you in New York and host you on a future episode of the podcast.
I don't want to come in January. I only ever go in January, and it's always so cold. So I want to do August.
We'll get you out in either spring or fall. It's when the city's the most beautiful. So we'll do that for sure.
Great.
Awesome, Kari. Thank you so much.
Thank you.